This is Optimal Relationships Daily, episode 1020. 5 Ways to Travel Light with Kids by Rose Lounsbury of roselounsbury.com. Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. I am your host and narrator, Greg Audino. Happy to be with you for another episode of ORD, another parenting episode, to be specific. And to provide us with new ideas as parents today is Rose Lounsbury. Rose has a great article for us about how to optimize your packing while on a family trip. Of course, this is a great thing for saving space, but it's also great for building good habits as well, and gauging what it is that we really need versus that which isn't as crucial as we may think. So let's give Rose's work the floor now and start optimizing your life. 5 Ways to Travel Light with Kids by Rose Lounsbury of roselounsbury.com. Summer is prime family vacation time, which often means hauling countless bags of stuff through airports or on minivan roof racks. If you're like me, that sounds like the exact opposite of relaxing vacation time. So today I want to share 5 ways to travel light with your family, not just this summer, but for always. A few years ago, Josh and I took the kids on a 6-day trip to Mexico, and true to my minimalist roots, I was determined to pack all 5 of us in one bag. Okay, it was the biggest bag we own, but I felt a little bit better knowing that the last time I had packed this bag, I'd filled it completely with my own clothes for a 1-week trip. Could this same bag meet the packing needs of my entire family? I was ready to accept that challenge. We managed to fit all our stuff in the bag, but I learned a few things along the way that might help if you want to pack a bit more lightly with your kids. Tip number 1, start with a list. Good packing starts by thinking about what you actually need while you're gone. I keep a running packing list on my computer, subdivided by the types of trips we usually take. Subtitles include things like camping weekend, Christmas, Mackinac Island, etc. These are annual trips, and it helps us to look at last year's list when I start packing for the next year. It also helps me not forget things. For this trip, I thought about how much time we would be gone, 6 days, and whether I'd have easy access to laundry. No. I also considered the types of activities we'd be doing, mostly swimming. As a result, my list sounded something like this. Kids, large suitcase. 1 swimsuit. 1 pair of pajamas. 3 outfits each. 6 pairs of underwear, 2 pairs of socks, Crocs, and goggles. Kids, carry-ons, pencil cases, travel journals, coloring books, 1 stuffed animal, 1 swimsuit, 1 pair of undies, plus change of clothes, and toothbrushes. You can see that I divided my list between the big suitcase and the carry-on. This was very helpful and gave me peace of mind knowing that we'd have enough to get by if our luggage was lost. Someday I'd like to pack my entire family in just carry-ons, but hey, this minimalism thing is a process. Tip number 2, enforce a dirty, stinky clothes changing policy. If your clothes aren't dirty and they don't smell bad, put them back in the drawer, I proclaimed the first night at our hotel. I knew my kids only had a few changes of clothes each. I didn't want to waste any item of clothing that could be reworn. I think Orlando ended up wearing the same t-shirt 4 times. But you know what? It wasn't dirty, and it didn't smell bad, so it was fine. In fact, I started wondering why I didn't enforce this policy at our house. It would certainly save me some laundry. Tip number 3, shampoo and a hotel sink will get you pretty far. I was surprised at how chilly some of the evenings were, so I did have to wash out some of my daughter's leggings in the hotel sink and hang them up to dry, which was totally fine. I learned a good lesson. If you run out of clean clothes, you can go old school and wash it by hand, and all will be well. Tip number 4, even when you think you've packed lightly, you've still packed too much. I could not believe that with only 4 changes of clothes total, every member of our family was left with clothing we didn't wear. I attribute this to the dirty, stinky clothes changing policy. For future similar vacations, we could probably get by with just 2 changes of clothes each. Yes, that sounds crazy, even to me, but it's doable. And what's the worst thing that could happen? We'd have to wear a shirt with a stain or we buy some new clothes? Neither of those is really a big deal. Tip number 5. Minimize the kid entertainment. I'm a bit embarrassed to admit this, but I bought an iPad mini just for this trip since I was so nervous that my kids would break down in the airport and embarrass us all. Lucky for me, my good friend Angela, who travels solo to Africa with all 3 of her kids, looked at me a bit strange when I explained this and said, "You don't need that. You'll be fine." She was right. I left the electronics at home, and my kids got by with a coloring book, a bag of colored pencils, and 1 travel journal each. They entertained themselves by looking out the window, talking to us, and snuggling their stuffed animals. This was a big lesson. I'm sure if the technology had been available, they would have played with it and fought over it and missed the beautiful scenery out the window. You just listened to the post titled 5 Ways to Travel Light with Kids by Rose Lounsbury of roselounsbury.com. And everybody, we come to the OLD community to work on ourselves, right? We all want to do this, especially in the long term, but therapy can be expensive. Well, there's a new way to grow that we are really excited to be partnering with, and that's TatLab. TatLab, or the Angry Therapist Lab, has live Zoom group classes led by a team of therapists and coaches on everything from relationship building tools to conquering codependency, trauma work to breath work, even astrology readings. There's also a social hour in which everyone can talk freely and build new friendships. You see, this is not therapy. It's part lecture and part group engagement, a fun way to work on your emotional well-being from home and meet like-minded people while doing so. So, go to tatlab.app and use discount code ORD at checkout to get unlimited live classes, plus hundreds of hours of audio lessons and courses on a variety of wellness topics for only $20, the price of a gym class drop-in fee. For a limited time only, again, go to www.tatlab.app and the discount code is ORD, all letters in lowercase. This is the new way to grow, everyone. We'll see you in the lab. And thanks a lot to Rose for developing this list for us today. For sure something to keep handy whether or not you have children, and a clear reminder of how much less we need than what we actually own or use. It can be hard to know just how little you can get by on, though. So, if you're stuck on this and are a little too paranoid to try minimizing on your next trip, try keeping track of everything you use in your ordinary life over the same span of time that the trip might be. So, if you're looking at a 7-day trip, try to monitor each item you use for 7 days beforehand. I think Rose proves that we can still get by on much less than we'd ordinarily use. But if you're new to minimalism and you can't quite gauge how to not overpack, this will give you a good ceiling to at least start with and put future minimalist packing into motion. So, safe travels this summer, friends. It is time to wrap this one up, but you know I'll be back here with you tomorrow and every day now that we are 7 days a week. Sure hope to see you in tomorrow's Q&A episode. That's where your optimal life awaits.